His sound is unmistakable.
A legendary sound, an unforgettable style, Jimi Hendrix transformed not just music, but fashion itself. At Seattle's EMP Museum, a trio of Hendrix garments reveals the power of clothing as cultural history. First, a flowing kimono worn at the 1969 Newport Festival, one of the final shows of the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Paired with it were velvet pants, later immortalized in his dawn performance of the Star-Spangled Banner at Woodstock. That moment, etched into music history, fused fashion and rebellion in one unforgettable crescendo. What sets these pieces apart isn't just their wear, it's their documentation, their place in Hendrix's mythic timeline. The kimono alone would command, in a collector's market, an estimate of around.
I would expect a similar piece to the kimono to sell in the $75,000 range.
But the pants, worn during one of rock's most iconic performances, they're in a league of their own. Comparable only to Hollywood treasures like Marilyn Monroe's subway dress, their value easily exceeds six figures. Even Hendrix's casual vest, unphotographed but well documented, speaks volumes of his gypsy-inspired flair. Once worth $7,000, such a piece today would likely sell for an estimated.
So we would expect something similar of that kind of status to sell in excess of six figures.
A dusty neighborhood flyer, a quick trip to the bank, and a glass lamp that turned out to be a hidden treasure. The guest shares how their mother brought the lamp in the late 60s from a woman who'd inherited it but lacked the space to keep it.
It had belonged to her grandfather, and she had moved into a very small studio apartment, and it was just too large. And my mother asked her, well, what would you like for it?
For just $125, the deal was made, and the lamp remained hidden from 5 rambunctious children for decades. What they had was no ordinary lamp. It was crafted by Tiffany Studios, led by Louis Comfort Tiffany, son of the founder of Tiffany & Co. Dating from around 1905, the piece features a rose helmet shade resting on a rare arc and leaf base, rich with Art Nouveau detail. The gold leading on the shade matches the gold finish of the base, a sign that the two have remained together since their creation. The base itself is remarkably rare, so rare the appraiser has seen fewer than 5 in his entire career.
And the gold leading matches the gold on the base. And I have to say that the base is really unusual. I can count on one hand how many times I've seen this base. It's so unusual. This is a situation where the base is almost as great as the shade.
These lamps were luxurious even in their own time, adorning the homes of New York's elite at a steep price for the era. Despite early misjudgments by local dealers, the lamp's finish, etched doré, is not only correct, it's spectacular. What began as a hunch by a sharp-eyed mother has proven to be a masterstroke of vintage discovery. A perfect pairing of shade and base, preserved in near-original condition, this lamp shines with both history and beauty. Today, its estimated value stands between $80,000 and $125,000.
This lamp is worth between $80,000 and $125,000. Mom had a good eye. Congratulations.
A dumpster dive, a guilty conscience, and a forgotten textile worth more than most homes. The guest and her mother were hunting for a sofa when they stumbled on bags of discarded rugs, nearly left for the landfill.
We're looking for a sofa for my daughter who was moving into a condominium, and so I grabbed my mom and I said, let's go look. So we get to the street, and the sofa is like brand new, and I felt really guilty about taking it, so I walked up to the door and I knocked on the door and I said, is it free? And he says, yes, take it, and he goes.
Among them was a piece they almost dismissed as ugly, until a closer look hinted it might be something more. The chosen rug is a Teke Turkoman asmalik, traditionally used during bridal camel processions in Turkmenistan. Woven by nomads in the late 1700s or early 1800s, it's a ceremonial dowry piece with an animal tree motif, rich in symbolic beauty. The rug features meticulous hand knotting, using fine goat hair threads with hundreds of knots per square inch.
How long would it have taken to make one of these?
It could have easily taken a year to make.
Wow.
The presence of animal plumes in the design confirms its rarity, distinguishing it from more common 19th century versions.
The reason it's called an animal tree, osmalik, is that it has this tree flanked by 2 animals. And the earlier ones, the animals have these little plumes, as opposed to the later ones where the plumes are no longer there.
Oh.
Comparable examples have fetched six figures at auctions, and fewer than 10 of this design are known to exist. Once mistaken for machine-made, this rug is a museum-worthy treasure wrapped in a wild origin story. Despite a small patch repair, its condition is extraordinary given its age and fragile history. What began as a freebie from the curb has turned into a family legacy, and possibly a college fund. In today's retail market, the Teke Asmalik could command between $125,000 and $150,000.
Between $125,000 and $150,000.
You are serious?
I'm serious.
Oh my gosh, he was right. I can't believe. Yes, we can pay for college. No.
Yes.
A chance meeting in the sky led to a portrait painted by one of America's most beloved illustrators. The guest recounts how her husband, a Pan Am pilot in the 1950s, crossed paths with none other than Norman Rockwell during a global flight.
He loved art, and he loved to meet his people that were on the planes. In those days they could. So he came out and looked at the roster and saw the name of Norman Rockwell, and he was delighted with his wife making a trip around the world.
And what year was this?
55.
Impressed by the pilot's charm, Rockwell later chose him as the model for a Pan Am advertisement, painting a portrait that now hangs in the guest's home.
Well, that's a wonderful story, and he was quite a handsome man, for sure, and a great model.
Naturally, I would agree.
Yes.
Rockwell, born in 1894 in New York, was known for his iconic Saturday Evening Post covers. Over 320 of them in his lifetime. Deeply influenced by the Brandywine School, his work captured everyday moments with sincerity and humor. The painting is oil on canvas, unlined and in stable condition, though yellowed by age, and a little second-hand smoke.
So you see all of this yellowness on the surface.
Yes. I was afraid I couldn't find the right person to clean it and repair it, so I know it does need a good cleaning. His first wife smoked.
Included are letters from Rockwell himself, where he humbly acknowledges the piece's insured value as a compliment to his work. Decades later, painter Thomas Kincaid offered $20,000 for the piece, but the guest wisely held on. Today, Rockwell's paintings regularly set records at auction, especially his more developed portrait works. This piece, featuring a real-life Pan Am captain hand-picked by Rockwell, carries both historical and personal weight. Even with minor condition issues, its provenance and subject give it a strong market appeal. In a gallery setting today, this Norman Rockwell portrait would command a value of around.
It would sell in the range of $75,000.
Oh, goodness. I'm so happy.
A painting pierced by broom handles, not by time or nature, but by neighborhood kids and a streak of cruelty. But the damage, while shocking, isn't ruinous. Every torn piece still clings to the canvas, waiting for restoration.
And it's not all that bad, because you haven't lost that much. When you put this back together, you have all the pieces there, and can be gently teased together.
Even the dirt, decades of smoke and varnish, can be gently lifted to reveal the moon's true white glow. This landscape, passed down through a family line, is no ordinary scene. It's by Louis Aston Knight.
Now, where'd you get it?
My wife's grandfather. He was an art collector, and it's been passed down. And then when she passed away, she left it to me and the kids.
Born in 1873, Knight was a master of water, often stepping into streams with his easel to chase reflections. This enormous canvas, over 6 feet tall, brings his love of Normandy's mills and quiet waterways to life.
He's a master of painting water.
Yeah.
In fact, so much so that he was known to get put on waders like a fly fisherman and actually get into the water with his easel.
Oh, my.
He signed at Paris, marking his expatriate life and deep European influence. The painting dates likely from the early 1900s, possibly just before World War I. Though battered, its soul remains intact, lush, immersive, and painterly in the truest sense. Knight's large-scale works are rare, and this one's sheer presence demands space and reverence. As proof that even through vandalism and grime, beauty and worth endures, this piece would be insured at an estimated.
Probably insured for about $45,000 to $50,000 these days.
All right. Okay.
A faded document, a storied name, and a journey that helped define a nation's frontier. Brought in by a descendant of Lewis's sister, this presidential commission carries more than just ink. It carries legacy.
Well, my family is descended from Meriwether Lewis's sister, and he, of course, had no offspring of his own. My great-grandmother grew up in the Lewis family home in Locust Hill, Virginia, And one day as a young girl, she found the commission as she was rummaging through an old chest, and she was told that she could have it.
Signed by Thomas Jefferson in 1802, it appointed Meriwether Lewis as a captain just 2 years before he set out west. That westward expedition, Lewis and Clark's legendary trek, would reshape American maps and minds forever.
Could almost be seen as the genesis of the Lewis and Clark expedition, which from 1804 to 1806 went from St. Louis to the Pacific and back.
Right.
Congress authorized the expedition in order to open up trade ties with the Indians. In fact, it really proved the feasibility of transcontinental travel and probably remains the most important expedition in American history.
This very paper, discovered in an old chest and later salvaged from a hurricane in 1900, somehow survived 2 centuries of upheaval. While most value lies in the signatures, here it's the recipient who matters most. Meriwether Lewis, explorer, pioneer, icon. Typically, a Jefferson Military Commission might fetch a high sum in today's market, but this piece, featuring a direct tie to American exploration, transcends that range. Despite some fading, it's a piece that would stir hearts and bids at auction alike. Collectors dream of provenance like this, history traced through generations and preserved with care. When paper and purpose align, value becomes monumental, as does the monetary value estimated to be worth.
Between $25,000 and $35,000.
An antique chest, a patriot's legacy, and craftsmanship that commands both reverence and value. The guest purchased the piece in Washington, D.C., while furnishing a Georgian federal home drawn to its satin inlay and elegant proportions. Its provenance traces back to Nicholas Gilman, a Revolutionary War patriot and signer of the U.S. Constitution. Made around 1805 in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, this bow-front chest is a textbook example of American federal design. Its refined symmetry, clean lines, and graceful skirt reflect the ideals of a young, balanced republic. Crafted from flame birch, rosewood, mahogany, and ivory, it showcases rare materials and a master's touch. The tall feet are especially rare, so much so the appraiser had never seen another quite like them.
I've handled a lot of these. I've never seen one with this tall feet.
Really?
Ever. And it's very rare to find them with this beautiful shaped skirt. They normally have a drop panel.
The brasses are original, made by Hans and Jenkins of Birmingham, England, and even bear the maker's stamp. Despite daily use, the chest's colour remains rich, and its minor restoration work is professionally done. Scorch marks and oxidation only enhance its authenticity, speaking to its age and continued utility. Originally purchased for $6,500 in 1990, its historical and design pedigree now place it in elite company. At auction today, this federal chest could fetch between $40,000 and $70,000.
Very good. Well, I promised my friends I would not say wow, but I will say I'm impressed.
You can say it. Will you do it?
Wow. Okay, thank you very much.
A Christmas gift from Aunt Betsy, a mechanical marvel, and a secret hiding behind porcelain eyes. The guest received the doll 2 years ago, passed down from her aunt's curious collection of antique automata. What she owns is a French automaton by the Jumeau Company, a name revered among doll makers of the 19th century. Unlike many mechanical dolls, the mechanism is hidden within the torso, giving it a seamless and elegant form.
Wonderful about it, many times the mechanism is in a box and the doll stands on the box. The mechanism on this doll is actually right inside the torso.
Its adult-like bisque head, complete with teeth and expressive eyes, sets it apart from more childlike contemporaries. The chest plate and arms are also bisque, an uncommon feature that adds to its value and charm. With a key beneath the skirt and a lever to release the motion, the doll springs to life with a delightful surprise.
And she has a surprise, of course. There it comes.
Though the clothing, hat, and shoes are not original, the craftsmanship in dressing it is tasteful and well executed. Made between 1880 and 1905, it exemplifies the finest qualities of turn-of-the-century French design. Collectors know this as the Cadillac of mechanical dolls. Rare, intricate, and highly sought after. What seemed like a quaint family hand-me-down is actually a museum-quality treasure valued at an estimated
$30,000 to $35,000.
And she gave this to me?
And
oh my goodness. She may want it back.
A clock tucked in leather, a journey across continents, and a surprise worth its weight in gold. The guest recalls her grandmother's adventures from San Francisco to New York, then across Europe, always with this elegant timepiece in tow. The piece is a Cartier travel clock from the 1920s, hidden in a leather case that opens to reveal a radiant Art Deco treasure. Cartier, founded by Louis-François Cartier, is celebrated for turning everyday items into dazzling design statements, leaving its unmistakable mark beneath this piece. What makes it truly unique is the chinoiserie motif, a nod to the Chinese-inspired aesthetic that dominated high fashion during that era. The gold-accented dial, delicately styled and entirely original to Cartier, adds yet another layer of authenticity. Cartier's mastery of form and flair made them highly collectible, and just as frequently imitated. But this piece shows all the right signs. From the signature to the craftsmanship, it's clearly the real deal. Though compact in size, it radiates with the luxury and sophistication of its jet-setting past. Its condition remains superb, and its historical charm is matched only by its modern desirability. For collectors and connoisseurs alike, it's a dream object. Rare, radiant, and entirely authentic. In today's market, this Cartier travel clock would fetch between.
You would probably realize something between $10,000 and $15,000 for it. Yes.
No, not possible.
An act of kindness in a small Florida town led to the discovery of a hidden heirloom with roots over 2 centuries old.
We moved to Florida in 1977. We moved to a small town, and there was a distant relative by marriage that lived there, and she was an elderly lady and needed some help once in a while, and we were happy to help her. She had a home filled with furniture that she had brought down from Massachusetts, and this table was one of them.
The guest recounts how her husband helped a distant relative clear out her home, choosing an elegant table as a keepsake.
When she had to go into a nursing home, my husband went down to help clean out the house, and they offered to have him take something from the house for us to remember her by. And he brought home this table.
What they brought home was a Sheraton-style drop-leaf table, crafted around 1800 and rich in New England history. Its design, featuring turned and reeded legs, is characteristic of the Federal period, likely made by a Portsmouth cabinet maker named Langley Boardman. Trained in Salem, Boardman was known for blending refined structure with delicate detailing in his furniture. The table's frame is made of mahogany, but the standout feature is its apron, inlaid with rare flame birch veneer. This veneer, often mistaken for satinwood, was highly prized for its dramatic grain and used sparingly in early American furniture.
Wood that you find on English furniture, this is technically flame birch veneer. It came from the birch tree.
A unique rectangular panel hints at its Portsmouth origins, echoing a design seen in local chests of the era. Its combination of craftsmanship, materials, and provenance makes it a remarkable example of early American decorative art. What once seemed like a simple family token is now recognized as a piece of furniture history. From an old New England home to a Florida living room, this Sheraton table's journey is as rich as its design. In this beautiful condition, this table will sell at retail for an estimated.
And a table like this would bring $15,000 to $20,000.
Oh my goodness, I didn't realize that much. That's great.